I've always liked those videos where you kind of have these hypothetical scenarios where you talk about if you're stuck on an island or you're out in the desert and you can only bring, 5 games, 5 movies with you. And today we're going to be launching a new series for the channel called Stuck on an Island with 5 Games. And we're going to go through each console in my collection. Today, voted on by the fans, the PlayStation 1 is the official first episode that we're stuck on the island with this bad boy. And I couldn't be happier because I love the PlayStation 1. It's a great console and one of my favorites of all time. So make sure you give this video a like, consider subscribing to the channel, and comment down below your 5 games you'd bring on an island with you. Let's get started. Now this is an interesting topic and an interesting scenario. When I think about only being able to bring 5 games from my PlayStation 1 library, I'm not necessarily going to pick all my favorite games, but more games that I can replay, that have a lot of replay value, that have maybe branching paths, different storylines, different characters you can choose. Variety is what we're looking for. Games that we love to go back for. So these games are in no particular order, and I have all of them on physical besides one. So I'm just going to kick it off with one of my favorite games of all time, and one that I constantly go back to. And if I was stuck on an island with 5 games, this would be definitely one I'm bringing with me, and that is Metal Gear Solid 1 for the PlayStation 1. This is the greatest hits version I have. I absolutely adore this game. It does have a lot of replay value in terms of being able to choose the branching path. Are you going to save Meryl? Are you going to give up, let her pass away? And you can also unlock different items at the end of the game. It has a great storyline. One of the most, it's like playing a movie, like all Hideo Kojima games are. Very cinematic. The gameplay has not aged the greatest. I will be the first to admit that. And his games have always been slightly kind of clunky, but in terms of stealth combat, storytelling, characters, locations and set pieces and boss fights, it doesn't really get much better than Metal Gear Solid, let's be honest. And it's a game I can always go back to. I never get tired of it. I just picked up the Master Collection actually for the Switch, and I'm super excited about Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater being remade for PlayStation 5. But we're getting stuck on an island. Metal Gear Solid's coming with me, so that's my first pick. Let's see what we got next. Okay, so this game is a classic and has a lot of variety, a lot of different levels you can choose from. It also has a variety of vehicles you can drive or fly, and that is going to be Crash Bandicoot 3 Warped. This is my favorite of the series, one that I jump into at least once a year and go back and revisit. I remember it was just such a game changer from the first 2 games, being able to ride the bike, the plane, the jet ski. You still had your polar bear levels and the snowy levels and great boss fights, and I just love the Crash Bandicoot series as a whole. It's always so much fun, and I just think Crash as a whole is a great series to revisit. It doesn't get boring in my opinion, and I needed a platformer on this list. So far we have kind of a stealth action game. Now we got our platformer. I guess you go, yeah, it's a 3D platformer. So starting with off with a little bit of variety, and we're gonna keep it rolling. Now, another classic, another favorite game of mine. I know I'm gonna keep saying that. I don't care. Most games you're gonna bring on an island are some of your favorites. Not absolutely my top 10 list or anything like that, but games that just constantly provide value and they don't get annoying to me. They're not tedious. They are seamless to go through. And this next title, man, what else can I say about it? It is absolutely one of the best in the series, probably my favorite of all time of the series, and that is Resident Evil 2. Now, the main reason I would bring this one onto the island over, let's say, Resident Evil 1 or 3 is because the two different scenarios. Obviously, you can play as Claire or Leon, and then you have the A or B scenarios, which is great too. So that already provides a lot of replay value for us, and branching paths, different decision makings that kind of change up the story slightly, not drastically, but it is nice to have that. And it also has the unlockables and things like that you can do. So Resident Evil 2 was the obvious choice of which Resident Evil game I wanted to bring onto the island with me, and I'm stoked about that. I constantly go back to this game. I play it at least once or twice a year. I love the remake, but the original always holds a special place in my heart. It was probably the first Resident Evil game I played, and I played a little bit of Resident Evil 1, but Resident Evil 2 was by far the most played among my friends at sleepovers and stuff like that. And I remember getting to the RPD station so many times and seeing the liquor and just being like, nope, hell no, this is where it ends for me. As a little kid, yeah, it's kind of ballsy playing these games, but they're part of my childhood. I love that. And I love the Resident Evil series as a whole, and Resident Evil 2 is just an absolute gem, a masterclass of survival horror. So, let's see, we've got 3 games down. We got 2 to go. Now, I guess I'll just do all my physical ones first, and I'll save the one that I have digital for last. But we're going to go with, for my next game, and this might be kind of a shocker to most people, and I could have went different directions with this, but for me, I'm bringing Final Fantasy Tactics. I have so much nostalgia for this game. I suck at it still. I went back and tried to play a little bit of it about a week ago to capture some footage for this video. I could never get really far in it, but I love just the charm, the atmosphere, the characters, the story, the combat. You know, I wasn't a traditionalist, I guess you could say, in the terms of most Final Fantasy fans. Tried to play a little bit of 7 back in the day, and it's still one I've never completed. I feel like a lot of people would have that one on this list, or maybe 9, or who knows. I would love to get around to those one day. But I absolutely adore Final Fantasy Tactics. And it's a game I want to get better at. So it's a perfect one to bring on the island with me. And maybe I could finally beat it. And I think we're adding a lot of variety to our collection at this point, you know. We have a survival horror. We have a 3D platformer. We have a stealth action game. And now we have our fantasy RPG kind of strategy game. So Final Fantasy Tactics, that's the one I'm rolling with. And I'm adding it to my little collection that we're bringing with. And that brings us down to the last game. What are we rolling with? What are we rolling with to round this collection off for our island fun? And I'm going to say, you know, we got the variety going. We're going to keep the variety going. We need kind of a sports title, you know. But I don't want to bring a Madden. I don't want to bring an NBA Live or NHL or a wrestling game I did consider. But you know what I'm bringing if I'm on the island? And this is the remastered footage, so don't go up in arms in the comments about that. It's the one I own, and I'm not going to go out of my way to get a physical just for this video. Maybe in the future. But I'm bringing the first Tony Hawk Pro Skater. I know. Why not bring the second one? Because I have so much nostalgia for the first one. And it is single-handedly the reason why I wanted a PlayStation 1. I remember going, so I used to live in Maryland, and I'd go over to my buddy Alex's house, and his older brother had a PlayStation. Alex had a Nintendo 64 that we'd play most of the time, but his older brother had a PlayStation. So whenever he was out and about, we'd go in his room, we'd play Tony Hawk, we'd play Resident Evil, and that's where I got a lot of exposure to these games as a child. And I just absolutely adore the first Tony Hawk. I love the levels in it still to this day. The remaster's great too. Endless fun, endless just replay value. I love going back and revisiting it. And it's just an absolutely gem in terms of skateboarding and fun. That's what I think about with the Tony Hawk series. It's just fun gameplay, just wacky, just weird stuff you can do in the game too, and the different goals and different secret tapes you can find. And I absolutely love Tony Hawk, and I think that kind of rounds out our collection that we'll be on the island with. If I was stuck with these 5 PlayStation games for the rest of my life, I think I'd be pretty content. So I'd be curious to see where you guys land with your list. So if you're bringing 5 PlayStation games to be stuck on an island with, what are you bringing? I want to hear in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a like, hit that notification bell so you don't miss any new videos, and I will see you guys in the next one. Stay blessed.